Well, hello, everyone. This is Alan Gorlick. I'm representing the Minnesota chapter of SCORE. Minnesota is a word that comes from Manatee and Sarasota counties. We're not all that clever naming these things, but it's a good word. I'm sure you've seen some businesses in the area that also call themselves Minnesota. I'm here today with Melinda Olipitan. Melinda's going to talk to you about why you need a bookkeeping system. It should almost be so obvious that you could leave now. It's all right, I get it, going home. It's that important. But she's going to give you a lot of good reasons. And I have to warn Melinda, since this is her first time with SCORE, that no good deed goes unpunished. So after she does a great job today, we'll be calling on her to tell you some more things about her company and about bookkeeping in general, and certainly about QuickBooks. But Melinda, if you'd like to move to the first slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit about SCORE before we get into the meat of the presentation. SCORE, if you haven't heard of us, and I'm amazed how many people haven't, but we're nationwide. We're not for profit. We're actually resourced by the Small Business Administration. So many of our clients come to us because they went to the SBA with questions or asking for money, and SBA said, well, here we have this division called SCORE and they will help you. And so we get a lot of our people that way. About 10,000 people around the country, and then 90 of us just here in the Minnesota chapter. And we've gotten some awards. We're District Chapter of the Year. I'm not sure how many other chapters are in the district, but we're always proud to get these kind of awards. And since 1964, SCORE has helped 11 million clients. I don't know how we know that, but that's our official number, and I'm sure it's close to being right. Maybe it's 10.5 million, maybe it's 11.5, but it's certainly, we're very active. SCORE, originally the letters stood for Service Corps of Retired Executives, but we don't say that anymore. We just say SCORE. And one of the things that you should know is we will help companies in any stage of their business. Most of the clients we get here in Minnesota are in that first stage. Startups, research and planning, maybe how can they get some money they need, how can they set up their business, how can they get their licenses. But we will help you in any phase. In fact, we have a whole team just here in Minnesota that we call our exit strategy team, that helps you if you're selling or closing your business. So you can call on us any step of the way. There's no charge ever for our help, and what we get out of it is sharing the great feeling of success with our clients. Next slide. Now, we have a great website, minnesota.score.org, as you see up there. So you can request a mentor, you can find workshops, other resources like podcasts. This presentation, as with all of our presentations, will be recorded. It's on the website. You can search for it. You can watch it as many times as you want. Also, no charge, and we won't bug you because you were watching it. Also, those of you who are here today will get copies of the slides, so you can certainly refer back to it. But it's a very searchable website, and it's very easy to find presentations that have been recorded in the past. Next slide, please. We have a lot of partners. This slide gets busier every time we do a presentation. And you can see, I'm sure you recognize some of these companies. A lot of them are banks. A lot of the financial institutions like to support SCORE, and I'm sure they don't just do it here in Florida, but also a lot of government agencies, a lot of chambers, and also a lot of universities support SCORE, and we have a lot of synergy with these groups. We help them, they help us, and in the end, we help our community. So, if you get a chance to work with some of these companies or to patronize them, you should do that. Next slide. And so this is our presenter, Melinda. She's here. You can even see her picture if you don't see her in the screen as well. She's owned a lot of businesses. She's handled her own bookkeeping, so she knows how important it is to get some help if you need it. and she knows how important QuickBooks is. And I can tell you also, I'm a little older than Melinda. I have more experience with QuickBooks. I can tell you it's great, even for big companies. We always think of it as a small company tool, but it works very well for large companies as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Melinda. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. You can chat all you want in the chat box, but we're going to try to deal with your questions, but we will look for them in the Q&A box. Go ahead, Melinda.
Thank you, Alan. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the call. I'm excited that you're here today. I'm excited to present some information for you, for your businesses. And maybe something you already know, as Alan said, and it may also be things that you may not know with bookkeeping regarding your business. So one of the first things that I want to address is that it's really, really important for you to at least choose a bookkeeping system. There are others out there besides QuickBooks Online. That is what I specialize in. That's what I know the most about. That's what has been the most effective for me, for my businesses, more user-friendly, easy reporting, easy data sharing with CPAs for taxes. So QuickBooks Online is my preferred choice, but there are others out there. And then also making sure that it's set up properly is very, very important. And I'll go into that a little bit more as we go through the slides. Some of these will interchange into each other. So number one, choose your bookkeeping system, whatever that may be. The second thing is business accounts / personal accounts. My personal experience, and when I was a small business owner, when I first started, and I'm coming across a lot of people that are doing exactly what I did. You're so excited to start your business that you just begin running your business through your personal checking account. And so your business transactions are mixed in with your personal transactions at the end of the year. When it's time to do your taxes, you have to sit down and go through these bank statements and figure out what was business expenses and what was personal expenses. The IRS is usually pretty good at giving new businesses grace for a period of time in that regard, but then they start getting a little frustrated about it. And also for business owners, it's not best practice, because if you don't have it separated, you don't really know what your cost is, you don't know what your profit is. So after you have your business registered with the state and you get the confirmation for the registration, you apply for your EIN number with the IRS. After you've gotten the EIN number from the IRS, you take that to a local bank and you start your business bank account. Most banks require between $50 and $100 to start the account. And then if you're registered as an LLC with the state, you can take what is owner's draw. So rather than commingling your expenses to business and personal accounts, set up your business account separately. Deposit your business income into the business account, and then you can always take owner's draw, which is transferring money directly from that account to your personal account to be able to spend that money as you need to, because you're as an LLC. If you're taxed as an S Corp or a corporation, you need to set up payroll. You can see payroll specialists for that, and you can ask CPAs. They will guide you on payrolls, companies, and or QuickBooks Online payroll. So there's different options for that. But as much as you can, it is very, very important for you to separate your business transactions and your personal transactions. That is just good business practice in general. The second thing or the third thing is when you do choose your bookkeeping system. I'm going to speak specifically with QuickBooks Online with this, because again, that's what I specialize in. There's something called chart of accounts, and your chart of accounts creates your business expenses and it categorizes them properly. For example, I'm going to use a service industry as an example. Let's say you're an electrician, you're a plumber, real estate agent, broker, handyman. It doesn't really matter. You have certain business expenses that pertain to that. If you are a handyman and you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and you buy a product to service a client's house, that product that you bought is cost of goods sold. It's 100% a write-off. It's 100% business expense. Versus if you're out on a job and you may decide to take lunch out while you're out on a job, that is not 100% write-off. So in your chart of accounts, in your bookkeeping, it is important to keep separate each individual chart of account. It's important to keep cost of goods sold in its own account. It's important to keep track of your meals. It's important to keep track of your gas, and vice versa. Subcontractors, if you pay a subcontractor to come out and do the electrical work on the handyman work you're doing, you need a chart of account for the electrical service. So your chart of accounts in your bookkeeping is very, very important. Without the proper chart of accounts, your P&L is going to be wrong. If your P&L is wrong, your taxes are going to be wrong. This usually ends up in costing companies a lot more in taxes than what they need to pay, because they don't have the proper chart of accounts set up. So that's important. The next thing would be account receivables. QuickBooks Online offers this amazing thing where you can invoice clients. And you can receive payments on those invoices. I am coming across a lot of people that are doing their own bookkeeping with QuickBooks Online, and then they are discovering that they haven't had the proper training with how to receive payments on those invoices that they're sending out. So what's happening is they are sending out the invoice. The client is sending them a check physically in the mail. A lot of this is service industries. The client is sending them a check in the mail for that invoice. So what is happening is when that invoice, when that payment comes in through QuickBooks Online with the bank feed, it is just being entered into the bank register as sales. So what happens to that invoice that got sent out? It's still sitting there open. So the proper procedure would be to receive payment against that invoice, send that to undeposited funds, and then match it to the bank feed. I'm not trying to confuse you guys by saying I'm not trying to confuse you guys by saying that. I recently had a client come to me that basically got her P&L at the end of the year and said something is really wrong. I did not make this much money. Well, she was invoicing clients. She was not receiving payments against those invoices properly, sending them to the proper accounts. Chart of accounts was not set up right. So we fixed everything, and she ended up having, it turned out she had overpaid $24,000 in taxes because her books were not set up right. So it pays to either take the time to get the training to do it right yourself, or to find someone that specializes in it and have them do it for you. Likewise with account payables, this one here is not as much as a need as it is a convenience. You can set up your vendors in your QuickBooks Online. If you're a company that has a lot of vendors that you need to pay, when those bills come in, you can put them in QuickBooks Online, and you can, it will set reminders for you to let you know that the invoice is due. It needs to be paid. And it will show you, it's a wonderful tracking. It tracks what bills you paid when. So the vendor comes back to you and says, hey, I didn't receive payment for that invoice. You have it right in your QuickBooks Online. You can go in and take a look at it, say, this is the date the check was sent, and or if it got missed, it'll be there and it will be red highlighted showing you that the payment was not made. So it's a great tracking tool for those that have a large amount of invoices that they need to pay on a monthly basis. It's a great tool to have at your disposal. The other benefit, one of the other benefits of the QuickBooks Online and or a bookkeeping system in general is it minimizes errors and frauds. I had someone come to me with 2 years worth of books that they had not done their taxes, and they were being fraudulently charged in their account for 7 months and didn't catch it because there was no record, there was no bookkeeping. They did not go through that bank statement monthly, look at individual transactions. So therefore it didn't get caught. By having a proper bookkeeping system and having your transactions properly categorized in those books on a monthly basis, you eliminate a lot of room for errors and fraud, because the count is reconciled every month. If you have a bank account connected or you have a credit card connected, those transactions come in and you reconcile those transactions against the bank. So when you're reconciling those transactions, you're having to deal with those transactions. You have to physically look at them. So it's not a situation to where it's out of sight, out of mind. When you deal with the transaction, that's when you catch things. Or let's say you have a subscription to something that you first got when you started your business, and then later on it no longer pertained, it no longer served your business, that is a great way to catch it, because you have a bookkeeping system in place. You're reconciling those accounts every month. You're catching those types of things. And at the end of the year, it can save you hundreds and thousands of dollars in subscription fees, depending on what it is, that in turn will go to your bottom line because you caught it. So proper bookkeeping system makes you reconcile the accounts, which in turn catches any of that might happen. The other thing is, sometimes when you're in a business and you're just getting going, you might need some funding for your business. And when you go to a bank or any type of credit place to get any type of funding, one of the first things they're going to ask you, let me see your P&L for your business. And generally they want 2 to 3 years of a P&L. If you have a shoebox for your receipts and you're in turn handing that to a CPA where there's no P&L backing it up, most CPAs will not put your data, your shoebox receipts do not go into QuickBooks Online and it does not present you with a P&L. They will put it in the IRS tax system and they will give you a tax return, which you can also use that for some businesses and for some banking, for lending. A lot of them, first thing they're going to ask you is, can I see your business P&L? And then or the last 3 years of tax returns. So having a proper bookkeeping and system in place makes you much more lendable to any type of credit place that's going to give you any type of funding for your business, because you can see your numbers. And the other thing I discovered with businesses that I'm taking care of currently is that when they can see their numbers in a profit and loss every month, they end up growing their business because they have that peace of mind and they can see what their numbers are on a monthly basis. And it gives them that incentive to go out and get more sales or to cut spending here and there. So it benefits them to have that bookkeeping system in place just for that also. Auditing, I think that pretty much makes everybody's hair stand up on end when you say the word audit. The IRS has recently hired on 87,000 agents to help them with their tax returns and to help them with audits. So having a proper bookkeeping system in place gives a business owner peace of mind to where if they were to ever get audited, that everything that that IRS agent is going to ask for is all in their bookkeeping system. Now, you still need to keep your receipts 7 to 10 years. You can upload those into QuickBooks Online, or you can upload those into a Google Drive so that you have access to them. Because if you've been in business for any length of time, you will know that after a year or two, receipts fade and you can't see what they were anyway now. So I am advising my clients best practices, upload them into a Google Drive. It is the easiest, it's the most convenient. You can snap a picture right on your phone and send it into a drive. And then you can sort them and categorize them by month. So if you want to go back and find something, it's easy to find right in a Google Drive. That's my favorite place to put them. There are other options out there you can look into. But having a proper bookkeeping system in place, keeping your receipts organized, making sure you run what's business through business, what's personal through personal, makes you audit friendly, and it takes away the stress of audits. So I highly recommend that. The other thing is the financials. I have a client that when he came to me to take over his bookkeeping earlier this year, his biggest concern was at the fact that he can't really see what he's doing on a monthly basis. He is not savvy enough with QuickBooks Online to where he can't make head of tails out of it. He cannot see what he's bringing in. He cannot see what his expenses are. He cannot see how much he is spending in payroll, how much is he spending in supplies. So I took him on, I set him up in QuickBooks Online. I created his chart of accounts for him and got him completely set up and organized. Within 6 months, he doubled his business. And so I asked him last month, I reached out to him and I said, just out of curiosity and for my own, peace of mind, what do you think, what has changed for you? And he said, without a doubt, it's the fact that he can see his numbers at the end of every month. He can see what he brought in, he can see what he spent. And it allows him to plan the following months. It gives him an incentive. It encourages him. So having those financials at the end of every month or at the end of a quarter, it'll help you strategize so that you can grow your business if that is what you're trying to achieve. And it also has it, so if you decide that you want to discuss the option of possibly selling your business, and the fact that SCORE offers you that assistance, I know that SCORE would absolutely love having the ability to see your financials to help guide you on your selling of your business. So it's just it's a good idea to have financials for your business for many different reasons, as you can see. My next one is independent contractors and vendors. The other thing that I'm finding that a lot of businesses miss out on and just don't know is the fact that if you have a subcontractor or if you have a vendor that you pay more than $600 a year for products and services, they should receive a 1099. And so having QuickBooks Online set up, entering these vendors and contractors in your QuickBooks Online, you can actually track their money that you pay them so that at the end of the year, all you have to do is click on the 1099s in your QuickBooks Online company, and it will trigger who you paid over $600. And then, you just have to fill in the contractor's information. You can file the 1099 right through your QuickBooks Online, or you can have a bookkeeping company or a CPA company do it for you. Or a payroll company will also handle that for you. So the best part is the fact that you can track it. You don't have to guess. You don't have to go through your bank statement and try to find who did you pay, who did you not pay, how much did you pay them. Just set them up properly in QuickBooks Online and you can track them. So it makes it really, really nice to be able to keep the 1099 straight and also to get them out by the deadline for January, at the end of January of the following year. The other thing is the business sale. I currently have a business broker that I'm working with that has brought a client's books to me that they're having to hold off on listing the business for sale because they don't know what the financials are. So having a proper bookkeeping system in place makes sure that your business is set up and charted properly to where when you go to sell your business, a broker, or if you end up selling it yourself, you guys can easily see what is the business worth, what is it worth, what is it listing at, what is the value of it, because you have a history and you have the proper bookkeeping. So if you ever get to the point where you decide to sell your business, having proper bookkeeping system will make your business more valuable, will make it more sellable. So these people are they're not able to list the business until we get the data fixed in the financial, and we're going back 3 years. So it's going to take a little while, but we can do it. So that is why, that's my take on why it is important for businesses to have a proper bookkeeping system in place for their businesses. As Alan said, this is going to be recorded. You're going to get these slides so you can go back through it again and listen to it. One of the other things that I want to discuss real quick is everybody's probably wondering, oh dear, what is bookkeeping going to cost me? Everybody has a different way of doing it. CPAs are going to charge you by the hour. Other bookkeepers, everybody has a different system on how they charge. We base our fees on transaction volume and the amount of accounts that need to be reconciled. So if you're a small business that's just starting and you only have one business bank account, then your transaction volume is going to be less. You're brand new, so it's very affordable because you don't have as many transactions, you don't have as many detailed accounts. If you're a business that has been long-standing and you have 10 accounts that are associated with your business and you have 500 transactions going through those accounts every month, your fee is going to look vastly different from that of a small business. So basically, if you choose a bookkeeping company to serve your bookkeeping needs every month, look for someone that charges based on transaction volume and accounts to be reconciled, not by the hour. Because if you're paying them by the hour, they have no incentive to hurry up and get the work done and to make sure it's right. So look for someone that does it based on transaction volume. So I hope that answers some questions on, is it affordable? Yes, it's very affordable, and it's worth it to have someone set up your QuickBooks Online properly to make sure those chart of accounts are right, because that affects everything. Alan, I think that's the end of what I have to share, and I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, we have some questions and some comments. First, one question came in from Joseph, who, although he's had all this half-hour wonderful training with you now, is asking if you'd recommend any other further training for him.
I actually offer QuickBooks Online training. I have a client that tried to train themselves by watching YouTube videos. It didn't end well for them. So a hands-on training system, Joseph, is the best method. Find someone that will actually take you on a Zoom call or through a Quick Assist. There's a program from Microsoft called Quick Assist. It's free. It allows you to hop on someone else's computer or someone else come onto your computer. The best method is for them to walk you through step by step on what to do and how to do it, because you'll be able to see real scenarios in that moment in your own books.
Okay, that sounds good. I would agree that you need hands-on training. Now, the one question just came in, and it relates to something I was going to ask you about as well. Lori asks if you really need QuickBooks, if you have your own great Excel spreadsheets. And I would add to that my own question of if there are any competitors to QuickBooks that you would also recommend.
There is a company called Xero, and there's also a company called FreshBooks. I don't have any experience with either one of those. I know that Xero is the biggest competitor for QuickBooks Online. I don't have any experience, but if they're a strong competitor, then chances are they offer similar systems that QuickBooks Online offers. So I don't personally have any experience. I know fellow bookkeepers that use Xero and they love it.
How about Lori's question about whether she has great spreadsheets, does she really need QuickBooks?
That's a great question, Lori. If you know how to do pivot tables in your Excel, then no, that will also suffice for QuickBooks Online. The pivot tables will allow you to break out those categories I was talking about, which is fuel, meals, subcontractors, anything like that. Pivot tables will allow you to break out those categories. It will not be as streamlined and as clean as QuickBooks Online, and it will not give you the monthly P&L or balance sheet. But it is absolutely, it suffices.
One thing I would add, Melinda, to your answer is you mentioned about the 1099s for occasional employees and things like that. You could do that through your Excel spreadsheet and then just get the forms. The problem is you may not remember, and computers don't forget. And so if you need reminders of things like the 1099 for the person you only hired for a week, QuickBooks will remember that, and your spreadsheet won't.
And it'll track it.
And so that's really a better way to stay out of trouble. Alice asks how you would compare the online version to the software itself. Which one you think people should be using?
That's a great question, Alice. QuickBooks Online, Intuit is actually putting away with the QuickBooks desktop in the sense of you being able to buy the software and owning it. That is no longer an option as of May of 2022. It is now where you have to pay an annual subscription for it, just like you do QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online is more user-friendly than desktop. Desktop is more dinosauric. It does not offer you the options that the QuickBooks Online does. It does not offer you outside access. For an example, if you want to have your CPA log into your QuickBooks desktop, you have to download it on a file, share that drive. He has to log in that way. And then he has to save his changes, send the file back to you. There's just a lot of intricate details going back and forth, and it's very inconvenient. It's very slow in the sense of integrating. So the QuickBooks Online is more cost effective also. It costs less for QuickBooks Online monthly subscription, the simple start, than it does for the desktop annual subscription that they're now charging.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty good answer. Next question comes from Robert. Wants to know if he can pay himself for bookkeeping. I'm not sure whether you want to answer that.
I actually cannot answer that. I am not a tax accountant. That would be a question for a tax accountant. I don't know what the IRS rules are on that. I have actually never thought to ask myself because maybe I need to be paying myself for my own bookkeeping. I don't know. I don't know, Robert. So you would need to ask a CPA that question and or a tax attorney. They would know the answer to that.
Yeah, I would say be careful about paying yourself.
I agree. I agree.
Elena wants to know if it's possible to move QuickBooks Self-Employed onto QuickBooks Online.
Yes, Elena, QuickBooks Self-Employed is very unfriendly. It is cumbersome. It does not track things properly. So yes, you can, all you have to do is when you're in your QuickBooks employee screen, when you're logged in, self-employed screen, go to the top right corner, click on your gear icon, click on your subscription, and when you open the subscription where it says what subscription you have, right underneath it, it's going to tell you, do you want to upgrade your subscription? Then you click on yes, and you upgrade it to the Simple Start. If that does not work, then it would be a situation where we would have to import the self-employed into the Simple Start. I've done that for someone, and they were absolutely amazed at what the Simple Start offered them versus what self-employed offered them. I don't even know why Intuit is even offering the self-employed. It's not user-friendly at all.
Well, it does sound like self-employed is for people paying themselves for bookkeeping, but maybe
Yeah, it's just
maybe that's a stretch.
good one, Alan.
Karen says that she's really good at this stuff, but occasionally needs some help, and maybe she should call you separately, but I'll still ask her question. Do you offer a la carte service when someone just has a few questions?
Absolutely, Karen, I do. You have my contact information on the slide. Feel free to reach out to me. I will absolutely log in and I will do with whatever you need me to do in the sense of I offer auditing for someone's books. I can go in and audit their chart of accounts. I can audit their profit and loss. I can audit whether or not they're taking all of the expenses they're allowed to take as businesses. So I do have those businesses that will just give me access to their books for me to go in and audit once a quarter to say, we need to change this and this and this to get you maximum deductions. So yes, I do offer that.
That's great. Darren wants to know what all this costs. How much does it cost to get a QuickBooks license?
The QuickBooks Online subscription, the Simple Start, which means you do not need to track inventory, is $30 a month. They just increased the fee last month. It was
Is there a
$25
minimum
a month.
commitment?
There is not. It's a month to month. And if you decide, if you set up a year's worth of books and you do a year's worth of books and you close your business for whatever reason, you can cancel your subscription and still access your data for a year.
And can you download that data into something else like a spreadsheet?
Of course, you can download it into a spreadsheet or a flash drive.
Nicole wants to know if you can do your payroll through QuickBooks.
QuickBooks does offer online payroll where they will file your 941 quarterly and your 940 annually. It is currently the price for it right now. You have to buy the payroll subscription, which is 300 and change. I think they recently changed it. So once you purchase a subscription and or you can do a monthly payment fee. I currently have a client doing it for 3 employees and they're paying $45 a month to QuickBooks to manage their employee payroll within QuickBooks Online. Yes, it's doable and it is more affordable than a payroll company for very small businesses. And they have gotten really good at following the 940 and the 941. If you have more than about 3 or 4 employees, I recommend you go with a payroll company because they can do your workers' comp, pay as you go workers' comp, rather than you having to come up with a large amount up front.
Can QuickBooks directly interface with the payroll company?
And some of them do and some of them don't. But what I do with the companies that have a payroll company that does not, I simply get a monthly report from their payroll company and I just chart that into their QuickBooks Online. So it makes sure the data is there at the end of the year.
How about if a company has a retirement plan like a 401k, will QuickBooks interface with that?
It does not interface, but it can be easily entered as a chart of account. You create the 401, set up the 401k as a chart of account in QuickBooks Online, and then the transactions just get imported into that through a journal entry.
Okay, and we have another question about your services. I guess people are interested in hiring you. Oswald wants to know if you're hourly or transactional for auditing. I guess the question even be, do you do auditing?
I do auditing. I audit the chart of accounts. I audit the P&L. I basically just come in and make sure you're taking all of your expenses after we've had a conversation on what type of industry you're in, so I can get a better understanding of what you're allowed to take as expenses. And then I don't charge anything for me to have the conversation with you to get to know your business. If I go in and I actually do the audit, I charge $150 for the audit. And then what that includes is for me to go through your QuickBooks in detail. It doesn't matter if it takes me a day. I go through it in a detail and I find out if you're missing anything, and then I come back and make suggestions. If we need to change things and you need my help to make those changes, I will teach you how to do it yourself, or you can have me do it for you, and then it's transaction based, the pricing is.
You know, staying on the subject of audits, Elena's come back with another question about whether, when you did an audit, would that be sufficient for a bank to view that as an audited statement?
It is, yes, because I am a registered bookkeeper. So I can audit your books and get you the proper P&L. Some of the banks may need you to have a CPA sign off on them. If you need a CPA to sign off on them, that would not suffice for me to do it for you then. But at least the books would be accurate.
Yeah, because when people ask for audited financials, they want more than accuracy. They want an auditor to be on the hook for it.
So that would be a CPA then.
Yeah. Now, we have another question that maybe requires a separate conversation with you and this person who's signed up anonymously. But the question is, he or she has a sole proprietorship, keeps business and personal finances separate, and sells products handmade from another country. Do you think QuickBooks would be useful for that person?
Okay, sorry, say that, come back with that, Alan. That was a lot.
Okay, this person says he or she is a sole proprietor.
Okay.
Keeps their personal and business accounts separate, sells products that are handmade in another country, not specified which one. How would QuickBooks help this person? Sounds like maybe you need a private conversation, but if you want to answer it in general.
I can do a quick snapshot, but yes, absolutely reach out to me and I will help you explore that more. If that was me personally, I would set up the products that I'm selling in the QuickBooks as an inventory so that I can track what I'm buying and what I'm selling. And then of course your bank account is connected to that same QuickBooks that is buying and selling these products in and out of. Business expenses are charted. So absolutely, QuickBooks Online would be an amazing way to track that.
Yeah, you would have to, if you're buying it in another currency, you'd have to deal with that as well, but.
Correct, but they do, QuickBooks Online offers that. They offer the currency exchange. I've never done it, but I know that they offer it.
Yeah. No, I have experience as well with using QuickBooks across multiple currencies, and it works fine. Okay, we have a long question here. Let me read it first before I try to read it to you. I can't pronounce this person's name, so I'm sorry. Last name is Placius. I can't pronounce the first name. I don't want to mess it up, but you know who you are. And this person says he or she has a great mentor from SCORE. Really wants to know if they need a CPA. I guess you can't really answer that without talking to them.
Well, okay, so I'm reading the question too, Alan. So if you don't mind, I'll just jump in here real quick.
Oh, okay.
From the looks of it, this gentleman is also a tax preparer, which means you can prepare your own taxes. But yes, for auditing purpose, for how many years and financial records, it is a good idea for you to put this business in QuickBooks Online, because it would make it so much easier. As it is right now, you're keeping receipts and pictures in a notebook. Imagine if you had that in an actual system that tracks everything for you. So at the end of the year, you can take your P&L and your balance sheet entered into the IRS system to file your taxes. The bookkeeping has already been done throughout the year. And if I could, yes, I can help you set it up. You have my contact information is on the Zoom. Alan, do we
Hello?
Still have that slide up where my contact information is?
Yes, we do.
So if you want to get my email off of that slide, that is the best way to reach out to me. Send me an email and then we'll set up a time where I can walk you through what it would take for you to set up your QuickBooks Online and what that looks like. So, but yes, definitely put that in a QuickBooks Online system and or an Excel spreadsheet. The notebook and pictures is not, it's not going to carry you through.
Okay, this person responded that he will email you, so that's good.
Okay.
Okay, another question. You mentioned Google Drive and QuickBooks in Google Drive, or do you do everything manually?
QuickBooks does not link with Google Drive. QuickBooks Online offers a receipt capture method where you can download the QuickBooks Online on your phone and you can actually snap pictures of your receipts while you're out in the field working, and it will upload it right into your QuickBooks. So that is an option. Unfortunately, it glitches a lot. So I have clients that have a lot of trouble getting the pictures to upload or to take them, and it just glitches a lot. So that's been frustrating. So what I'm telling people, rather than try to mess with that, you create the Google Drive, put it in the Google Drive. And so if you ever get audited, you have your receipts right there in your Google Drive. They do not need to be in your QuickBooks for your bookkeeping.
Of course, scanning them into the Google Drive may have the same glitches, but you
I
could.
haven't had any issues with it at all, and I've been using it for over a year.
Oh, so yeah, because I guess the Google Drive doesn't have to OCR it; it just has to take.
It doesn't, and it's very secure. So it's a great method for people to keep receipts that they don't fade.
Okay, we don't seem to have any more questions posted here, so I think we're done. Melinda, this was fantastic. I learned a lot. I hope that the 60 or so people online also learned a lot. Maybe they'll learn a lot too. And we will certainly be inviting you to do more. And again, a reminder that this has all been recorded. It's available on the SCORE website. And Melinda's available for anybody that wants to contact her directly. But with that, we will sign off.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate